In this video, we're going to discuss shadows and why shadows are very important when you're creating scenes inside Daz Studio. Before we begin with the actual tutorial, I just want to go over what most beginners do and what I did when I first started. So I would normally create renders like this, where I would use soft lighting and I wouldn't really have any shadows in there. I was very afraid of shadows because I didn't want to have shadows. I didn't understand the use of shadows. Obviously now I understand the use of shadows. I use it wherever I can in my artwork, in my comic book, etc, etc. So as a beginner, this is what we do. We have soft lighting for our character, and as you can see, this image is okay. It's not brilliant. I mean, I could do a lot better with this now with the skills that I have now. But obviously when you're a beginner, the only thing you're trying to do is actually create lighting and make it look better than it did before. So you can imagine that when we add shadows to this image, we're going to sculpt the body, we're going to define the body, we're going to define the character features of this female figure here, and it's going to look way better than it does like this, because at the moment this is kind of boring. It's not very interesting. It's very basic, something you can do with a HDRI, which everybody does. I've seen in a lot of the Instagram feeds, everybody does like these very simple HDRI backgrounds. I know why you do it, because the renders come out really quickly and they look really good as well with HDRIs. But I want to challenge you today and start having you to use shadows inside your renders, and it's going to really help you to bring those renders to life. So let's just get this out of the way now. So what we have here is we have a scene. This is stonemason scene. It's called Streets of Asia. I just recently purchased this scene because I need it for my comic book, because obviously it's set in Japan, and this looks like something this could be in a Japanese village or something. Obviously this scene that I've got here is not in Japan. I'm just showing you in terms of shadows. So here we have the lighting. We have the basic lighting. So we have the basic lighting inside Daz Studio, the dome and scene. So we've got the environment map, the default environment map, and all of them is just rotated. I just want to show you how plain this looks. Now this looks very plain. If you did a render like this and you put it on your page to show everybody, a lot of people won't be impressed. They would scroll by because it's really kind of boring. So let's see if we can make this better. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the sun and sky mode, and we're going to use shadows. We're going to use the light of the sun and the shadows that it gives us to actually sculpt the scene. So let's sculpt the scene. So in render settings, in the environment, where it says environment mode, I'm going to change that to sun sky only. Okay, so this is what most people do as beginners. They would have this scene light up like this, where the majority of the light is kind of wherever you want. Let's say you wanted your character over here in this area here, or you got character here, and you've got the majority of the lighting like this. Now this is very plain lighting. There's not much happening. It's kind of boring. Yes, we could see it's daylight, but you really want to use shadows effectively to add drama to the scene, to make it more appealing, to sculpt the scene, and to really bring some definition to the scene. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to just change the dome rotation, and I want you to notice something what happens to the steps here as I rotate. So let me see if I can find the rotation I am looking for. There we go. That's the rotation we want. What can you see now in the steps there? So hopefully you can see, as I get my little pen out very quickly, let me just find F11, there we go. This area here, I want you to focus here, compared to what it was before. So just by moving the sun, using the sun sky, we've defined the steps there. Look at that definition we've just found in our steps there. Doesn't that look way better than it did before? So a very simple change like that can really change the way a scene looks. We've defined the steps, we've given it definition, we've given it meaning, we've given it more like, we've sculpted the scene, so we've sculpted the steps. Look how great they look now. It's really simple technique, something we don't do as beginners because we don't know. And obviously, hopefully you were learning something from here, and we're going to take this even further now. So we've got some great lighting here. Some of you may think, meh, that's kind of boring. All right, so let's see what else we could do. So as I rotate the scene, I want to bring the shadows across like this. Right, that is way more interesting now because we've got awesome shadows coming down here from the right. The sun is coming here and it's giving me these awesome shadows on this side. We've also got to play with our shadows and our light. So we got light here, then we got shadows, then we got light, Then we got shadows, and then we got light. So we see we're breaking the scene off. We are creating tension in our scene, bit of drama. It's a lot more interesting than it looked before when it was like this. I think it was like this. How boring does that look? That's kind of boring. So just by me moving the shadows, the sun here, it's giving me a lot more information here. My brain is taking it in, is looking at it going, hey, this is kind of interesting. Look at this kind of shadow here we got here coming from the buildings here. So it's very simple techniques like that. You can change your scenes around and make it look very interesting. So when you buy scenes, think about the possibilities of, hey, when I apply shadows to this, it's going to look awesome, because I guarantee you, when you look at the scenes, the actual promo scenes, a lot of them do show the shadows, and that's why you go buy it. And then when you buy the scene and then you put it into your Daz Studio, you put the actual load the scene into Daz Studio, then you're like, hey, it doesn't look nothing like that because you haven't applied the shadows. So that's how you can apply shadows with Sun Sky. Very easy to do. Also, what you can do as well, you can control the we can control the brightness and contrast of the shadows, so to speak. So here, where we have SSS sun disk intensity, we can increase the brightness of the sun. So I'm going to just double it. I'm going to make it 2. So add 2 there. You can see how intense it is now. So the intensity of the sun's gone up, and that also made our shadows darker as well, just by making the intensity of the sun. So even if I went a bit higher, let's say 3, it's going to go very bright now, you'll see. But it also makes our shadows a lot darker. So you get some fantastic shadows like that. What else we can do is with the SS Sun disk scale, we can make the shadows sharper. So if you have a look at the edges here, very soft shadows here. It's kind of like blurry. So when I mean by soft shadows, I mean they're very blurry at the edge here. So they're not sharp. So when I reduce the SS Sun disk scale to 1, you'll see these edges go very sharp. So let me just do that now. So there you can see that they're a lot sharper now than they were before. So now we can see even more detail here. We can see these, the bit of the roof here where the edges come, these kind of curves in the edges. We can see that in here, and we can see here as well. So we're getting more definition of our shadows. So that's a great technique to make it more defined if you wish to do so. So another thing we could do to define our shadows, when we go to the tone mapping, the crush blacks, we can actually make the shadows more darker. So if I went to like 0.5, the blacks are going to get darker. So you can see it's a lot darker now. If I went crazy and did the full value of 1, you can see it's going to go very dark. So you can see there's a lot of separation. There's a lot of difference now between the bright here and the dark. And even here as well, it looks really dark here. And just by changing these things, even these areas where there's dark textures inside the scene, we're making those dark as well. So we're really bringing out the kind of scene, the details, just by changing a few settings. Nothing difficult, something everyone can do. So that's something I want you guys to play with. When you get a scene, I want you to play around with the sun sky, to try and paint your scene, to try and get the sculpting of your scene, and to try and bring definition to the scene. So I know what you're thinking now, saying, Palmy, well, we don't just render scenes by themselves, we actually have our characters in the scene. So don't worry, I got your back for that as well. I'm going to put in a few characters, and we're going to try and create shadows for those as well, and really define those characters as well. So I'm going to leave this as like this is actually. So I'm going to just go back to my camera 1, which is lower down here. So that is cool. We'll leave it as it is. I haven't got a problem with that. I'm just going to come out of IRA mode so I can actually speed up my camera here. Let me just move this around. Okay. So my first character I'm going to do is Lee 6, which is a Genesis 2 male character, which is a freebie that I found on the Daz 3D store. I think they were doing it for free a couple of months ago. So I downloaded that. Basically, he just looks like a very... he looks like Bruce Lee, really. Well, he looks like Bruce Lee. As soon as I bring it up, you'll see he looks a bit like Bruce Lee. So a quick tip here, actually, for you is when you click on the character here and you click on all, and here we type in Viz, just short for visible. So visible here. When I click on here, it's going to make everything associated with this character visible. So all these these icons here are hidden, means hide. So because I made the first, I can control everything just by clicking on the character. So when I do here, visible on, everything comes back on. If I did it visible off, everything goes off including the character. So that's a quick tip for you to use if you want to just hide everything, so you don't have to individually go, hey, I need to hide Lee Thixton, I need to hide the head, I need to hide his clothes individually, especially if you got a lot of accessories the character's wearing. You can just go to the main area here, the top bit where the character is, and just click visible, search for visible, click all first, sorry, go to visible here, and then you can hide it. Okay, so here's our character. He looks very much like Bruce Lee. That is what I think the person wanted to create there, Bruce Lee. So we just got a standard pose. It's kind of boring. So let's have a look at our scene. So we've got a lot of shadows, I think, here. Let me just have a brief look at our scene here that we created. Alright, cool. So obviously this character's got a lot of muscle definition. Now this character comes with that muscle definition. I never put anything on. So there's no like morphs on him. There's no vascularity morphs or anything like that. This is how he comes. This is the way he's sculpted. So I haven't added anything like that. And we're going to go and use spotlights to create that definition, to show off his musculature and to sculpt his body basically. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to create a spotlight. So create new spotlight. Cool. I'm going to use the active transport for the camera. So it's where the camera is, so I can bring it around. Right. So to sculpt his body, I need to come from the side and from behind and a bit from above. So as I go here, I'll do my best. I probably will have to change. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to go higher up here. It's probably too high. Let's try there. Okay, from the side here. Probably from a bit behind as well. Let's just come up a bit. There we go. Something like that. I may have to move the spotlight because I never know. I never actually know where exactly it needs to go. I have a rough idea. It's never exactly the correct place when I begin with. That's just something you learn the more you play around with spotlights. So got a spotlight here. I'm just going to go into the light here and just turn up the lumens. A couple of zeros. Here we go. And probably one more. Okay. Let's do the IRA preview again. For some reason, I haven't kicked in there. So just wait for that to come on. The light geometry, I'm going to use disk this time. I normally use rectangle, but it really doesn't matter what you use. So let me just come here. I've just realized why it isn't working is because I've already done sun sky here. So if I do dome and seed, and if I turn off the environment to do none, there we go. Now we got the sun sky and we've got our spotlight going on as well. And you can see it's very powerful light here. There we go. Even I make mistakes. There you go, folks. All right, cool. So let's turn up the power on this. There we go. All right. So here straight away you can see, just by me putting the light up here, yes, I know it's very intense. I'll sort that very shortly. We can see some crazy muscle definition here. Look at this muscle definition. Just by putting the light to the side, above, and behind here. So we got some crazy muscle definition here. I mean, he looks jacked and ripped. And he's not even, this is without any morphs or anything. This is how the person who created this character, he sculpted him. So you can see just by moving the light up here, how much definition I've created and how crazy amazing that looks. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just decrease that value. I'm going to use the intensity actually, just to decrease the intensity. So let's go half. Let's go 50%. Cool. That looks much better. What I can do as well, these shadows are pretty soft. I can make them softer. So increase the diameter and the width here. Let's see what that does. Sometimes you may want to increase it. Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes it adds more. So there you go. That looks pretty good. I like the way that looks. We can see the muscle definition. Again, I don't like that it's too bright here. So I can probably bring that down a bit more. Maybe 40% intensity there. All right, cool. So now let's do the other side. So I want to get the other side now. So I'm going to go to create new spotlight. And I'm going to copy the settings from my initial spotlight. So it's going to have the same settings. So I'm going to come out of IRA preview mode. And let's go to spotlight number 2, which has got the same settings as spotlight 1. So I'm going to go to the other side now. And we're going to try and do the same. So I'm going to put it a bit lower down this time because I think he was higher up. Make sure it's a great idea to alternate. So like if you're going to put the majority of the light, say on the head section, then you want the lower half. You want to focus on the lower half here. Okay, don't know if that's going to be the right place, but we can try. We will try with that to see what that does. So let's turn on the eye-ray preview and let's see what the damage looks like. So as we wait for the preview, we'll see what it looks like. Alright, cool. So we've got some great lighting here. I'm not too sure if I like this middle section here. We've got some ab definition coming through now. We've got some shadow here going on. And we can see a bit more of his face. So this looks pretty good in terms of the way it is. If that's what I wanted. We can see some more definition here as well of his musculature here as well. Some more sculpting here, and we can see some more sculpting here. This is actually pretty good. It's not bad. One thing I would probably like to do is move the spotlight to a bit more to the right here. Now, obviously, when you move the spotlight mode, when you're in eye-ray preview mode, it is really slow. Not recommended. It doesn't matter what power machine you have. I guarantee you it's going to be slow. It's just the way eye-ray is. So don't think by having a super fast graphics card or a super fast PC that anything you do in eye-ray mode is going to be a lot quicker. It is not. So there we go. Okay, cool. We got a bit more definition. I wanted to just get rid of that shadow there. There's too much in there, but that's a lot better now. So what I'm going to do now is I can just decrease that. So I'm going to say, hey, 25, because it's too bright. And the other one, our spotlight one, hey, come down to, actually that's fine the way it is, 40 there. So there we go. So basically we have got, let's just go over this. We've got a light coming here, hitting there. We've got spotlight 1. You're going to let me write spotlight 1 with my really bad handwriting here. Spotlight 1, which is this one here. This one here. And then we got another one coming from this side with spotlight 2, shall we say. Spotlight 2, which is this one here. Okay, so we've defined the musculature. Now, granted, the way this character is sculpted, in terms of that is the way it's sculpted, you're probably thinking, hey, Palmy, that's all well and good. It looks cool. It looks great. We've really defined the character instead of having like straight on lighting. But what about if we had a character that didn't have much musculature? So don't worry, I've got you covered as well. I'm just going to set up the next scene now while we bring our other character in that doesn't have any musculature definition, and we're going to make that character look awesome as well. So let's clear this up now. Let's just turn off the spotlights here. Let's just go to texture shading mode. Let me hide Lee 6. So I'm going to hide him now. So I'm going to go like I showed you here before. Click on Lee 6. I'm going to click on all in parameters. I'm going to type in Viz, V-I-S. For short, and where it says visible, I'm going to do off, and there we go, everything disappeared. So the other character I want to show now is this one here, Miriam. The reason why I've got a female character is because for some reason all the male characters are like got six-pack abs and they all have like muscle definition. So I had to look for a female character because not all female characters have muscle definition, although they are defined to some extent. They don't have the muscle definition like the men do for some reason. So let's get our character here. So she should be there. There we go. All right, cool. So she does have a little bit of muscle definition here. That's on this section here. This section here on a midriff. And that is the reason why I chose this character. Apart from that, she's very like a slender, it's like a slender female figure basically. Okay, so let me just rotate this around because I want to, actually we'll leave it as it is. We'll do 90 degrees. We'll see how this works. All right. So again, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to have the light coming from here. I'm going to have the light coming from the other side as well. So spotlight 1. Let's go to spotlight 1. We will just change this around. So this needs to come further more to the right here. There we go. And spotlight 2. We will have spotlight 2 coming from the other side. Now you can't see spotlight 2 here. The actual marking, the icons, is because if I just go into the light here, the intensity is low. So the markings are low as well. So if I increase the intensity, you'll see that, hey, I can see everything now. So if you are using spotlights and you say, hey, I can't see the markings, just double check the intensity because that actually goes down when you're moving things around. So what we'll do is we will bring it around. Now I have a feeling that when I do this, the arms are going to come in the way in terms of like shadows. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to bring this down and we are going to focus on the legs with spotlight 2. And with spotlight 1, we are going to focus on the upper body. So we're going to go half and half. So I'm going to do spotlight 2. We're going to focus on the lower body on this left side, right side. And then with spotlight 1, we are going to actually focus on the upper half of the body. So we're going to focus here. There we go. Go back to our camera. Let's turn on iRay preview mode and see what that looks like. I think I need to turn the intensity back down for spotlight 2 because it's way too high. There we go. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. Normally when you set up lights, you should always set up one light first and then the second light. So don't do what I just did where I just set up both, because you're not going to see much difference. So let's just turn off spotlight 2 and see what spotlight 1's doing. Alright, cool. So what have we got here? Let me just turn the camera around. So this looks pretty good in terms of definition. We got definition here on the upper chest here. We haven't got anything here on this side here. We've got some great lighting here as well with some shadows. So I think I will have to use spotlight 2 and come more around with spotlight 2 on this side. So let's do that with spotlight 2. So I'm happy with the position of spotlight 1. Spotlight 2 is what I need to work on. So let me just turn the intensity up for, spotlight 2, there we go. And I want to come more around. So somewhere around here. There we go. Again, I'm working on the lower half of the body here. There we go. Let's see what that does. So do the iRay preview. Let's turn it back down as well. This was, I believe this is 25. I'm going to put it 35 actually and see the difference. So just wait for the iRay preview mode to kick in here. Alright, cool. Excellent. So this is exactly what I was looking for. Maybe a bit of a fluke, but this is exactly what I'm looking for. So here now, we've got some really good soft lighting. We lost a little bit of the shadow on the leg, which is fine. But what we've got now is we've got the definition here of the middle here now. We've got the mid rift. And we've got some more definition here at the top as well. We've got very soft lighting here as well. So we could actually turn this down a bit. Let's try 50. Let's see what that does. Alright, cool. Alright, so that's much better. So we've actually toned it down here as well. So we can still see the definition here, and we can see a lot of definition here as well. Actually, what I'm going to do is tone that back up to 25. Cool, okay. And spotlight 1, I'm going to be a bit more harsher with that one. I'm actually going to increase that to 65. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Cool. Okay, so now we can see that our character here, female figure, being much more defined. We've got some good shadows here as well. We haven't got much shadows on the legs because we filled that in using spotlight 2. Then we've got our midriff here. So actually we can zoom in here. Let's zoom in so you get a better look. Alright, cool. Alright, so now we can see the midriff here as well. We got some definition here as well, and the face as well. So that light is actually a bit too bright. So that's something I will need to sort out. But you can see now there's a lot of definition here. And just by moving the lights around, we can create a lot of definition, even with characters that don't have the vascularity morphs, that don't have the morphs, the fitness morphs or the muscle morphs. You don't really need that. What you need to do is work on the lighting and angles. That's all it is. That's all it is really, just working on lighting and angles, and you can create some really amazing images. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, make sure to like this video and to hit that subscribe button as well. And don't forget this week's comment of the week as well. Thank you very much, Dream Lab Studios. I'm going to put your comment up here as well. Thank you very much for that. If you want to be featured for comment of the week as well, don't forget to leave a comment down below as well for this video. And don't forget to check out these videos over here as well. These ones are going to help you to get better at your craft and obviously learn those wonderful skills that are going to make your renders look amazing. And having said that, I'll see you in next week's video.